What has been happening with Synthetix, which is SNX, since a couple of weeks ago when it tried to break out of this falling wedge pattern but was unsuccessful. Now, SNX has been running within this pattern for quite some time. It is a falling wedge pattern, and this is the weekly time frame. Falling wedges have a higher chance of breaking to the upside, and Synthetix tried to break out here but was unsuccessful. It did get rejected by that weekly 200 SMA, which is a major moving average. Okay, now could SNX still be could it still break out of this pattern here? Okay, well, this pattern is still intact. Okay, and a fake out does not invalidate this pattern here. So this pattern is still intact. However, could SNX be taking a swing down to the bottom trend line here before trying to break out again? Because that could take potentially more time and more risk, right? And just to note, even though these technical analysis patterns have a higher chance of moving in one direction, you also have to mind the smaller probability that they could still break in the other direction. Nothing in this market is 100%. We're just talking about probabilities here. However, if I keep considering to open positions on the direction where the probability favors, and if I keep doing that in the long term, I could still stack the edge in my favor. So that is why these technical analysis patterns are still very useful, but with risk management. And you're going to hear risk management a lot when you're trading throughout YouTube. What does it mean? Well, what it means to me is having an answer or a plan to a lot of the what ifs I can think of. And throughout my 5+ years, probably 6 years of trading now, I could probably think of quite a bit of scenarios, okay, because I've seen quite a bit of scenarios. Now, in this case, for SNX, it did get rejected. It did basically break down below all your weekly moving averages again, which is not a good sign, right? Let's take a look into a smaller time frame here and see if I can get some ideas on what SNX could be doing. Daily time frame, I talked about a falling wedge pattern. Price target for this pattern, it did break out. Falling wedge pattern, price target about above $2 here. So this could potentially take SNX back for another attempt to break out of this bigger falling wedge pattern. However, these price targets are estimates only, a lot of which does depend on what happens with Bitcoin. I did a more detailed video on Bitcoin earlier today. I will link you guys at the end of this video. I never trade altcoins without a clear understanding of Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin dumps, that could tank a lot of these altcoins. I would not bet against it. Okay. Now, considering that, okay, it has broken out this falling wedge pattern. It did continue to the downside. It is not uncommon to see, okay, that a break out of a steep falling wedge pattern that you could still see some downside. However, but this breakout is still valid because the price action is still above this upper trend line of this pattern here. But what would invalidate this breakout here would be a daily candle close below this level right here. Basically was the end of the pattern at about 60 cents. If you get a daily candle close below 60 cents, that would invalidate this breakout here. Right now it's still live. Since the breakout here, it has also formed a smaller falling wedge pattern. And let's just say if this falling wedge pattern breaks out by this point, for example, price target would be about $1. Quite a bit of resistance along the way to be paying attention to, including all your daily moving averages. So let's see if SNX could rebound and hit some of these price targets before trying to break out again of this bigger one. So this is basically what I'm seeing for SNX. Of course, all of these are just my opinions and speculations. You guys got to form your own opinions and strategies. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of SNX or any other coins in this market by dropping a like, comment, subscribe. I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis, and I'll see you on the next one.